I'm grading my absolute favorite PlayStation 3 games with CGC, including what quite possibly might be my favorite game of all time. But which game could that be? Let me show you. All of these games except for one double are going to be going in the personal collection. For some reason, games stick with me a bit more nostalgia-wise than a lot of Pokemon cards do. So I don't have a large personal collection, but these games will be going into that personal collection. The first game is God of War 3. God of War is one of those series that I got into much later in life. After the new God of War came out on PlayStation 4, I went back and played through the older series that started on the PS2 and worked its way all the way through like PSP and all of those systems onto the newest system, PS5, with Ragnarok. I played the one on the PS4, got really into the character, and had to go back and play the rest. It was just fantastic, and God of War 3 was a standout in that series. I thought it was amazing for the time. The graphics, everything was just amazing about this game. So I picked this game up sealed. Really excited to send this one in. Doesn't really have any holes or anything in the seams. One of the things that I've been really particular about is making sure that no holes or major scratches or any tears or anything in the seals. It's really tough because when you buy sealed video games, a lot of times sellers still consider the game to be quote unquote sealed, even if it has a large tear in the plastic wrap. It can still, condition wise, it's still, I guess, considered sealed. So it's really important that you ask for additional pictures or ask them to make sure that there are no holes or tears. This one in particular is very clean. Some of them do have like, not really scratches, but it's more like indents from where something was dragged across the front, maybe another game or something. Might have one or two of those here and there, but I really want to get good grades on the seals. I think that's one of the more important things to take a look at when you're grading games. The next game is in my top 10 or 5 games of all time. It's not my favorite game of all time, but it's up there. It is Uncharted 2. Uncharted is one of those series that I just love. I love the story. I love the character of Nathan Drake. Everything about Uncharted. It's the very first game that I played when I bought my PlayStation 3 was Uncharted 1. Uncharted 1 is extremely expensive, so I haven't bought that one yet. But I have actually 2 copies of Uncharted 2 that I'm going to be sending in. Right off the bat, you can see a little bit of an issue here. There is this right here. Now, it's kind of a discoloration. It's not a tear, and it isn't a dent or anything, but it's like the plastic has adhered to the case cover or something. I'm not sure how that's going to affect the grade, if it will at all. The seals on this, just like the God of War copy, are really, really clean. No holes, no tears, just absolutely beautiful. I'm really hoping for decent grades on these games. I'm really excited to get them back from CGC to see how they grade. Here's the second copy. You guys might be wondering why I chose to go CGC instead of WATA. Now, I have a previous experience with WATA. This is the second time that I'm going to be grading video games. I did grade with WATA the first time, and it was during the boom, and they were very backed up. But one thing that really bothered me about the WATA process is they never changed their advertised turnaround time. So their turnaround times and their emails and everything, they always stayed to like 45 days. But it took like 9 months to get my games back. And they didn't really make an effort to make up for lying about their advertised turnaround time. When I got the games back, they ended up kind of breaking even for me. It was a bit of a flip opportunity, and I actually paid up. I paid for the second highest tier, I think, for the games to come back sooner, and they didn't come back any sooner. They still took about 9 months to get back to me. So it kind of pissed me off at the time, and it's kind of rolled over into now. I probably will give them a second chance in the future, but unfortunately, that's where I'm at right now with WATA. This game, very clean though, and I have high hopes for this one in comparison to this one, just because I'm not sure what that thing on the front is going to do to the grade. Next up, a part of the same series, I do have Uncharted 3. I tried really hard to make sure that these were the first prints of all of these games. Now, a lot of these games won Game of the Year, or they were nominated for Game of the Year, they won something for Game of the Year. So there are a lot of Game of the Year versions, there are greatest hits versions, there are different versions of the games, and I tried really hard to make sure that I was getting the first copy. So you'll see on my Uncharted 2 copies, there aren't any like Game of the Year badges or anything on it. I hope that that's, first print Uncharted 2, and this one, no Game of the Year badges on it, not greatest hits, black label, so hopefully this one is first print as well. But Uncharted 3 was one of those. It's probably the lesser 3 of the series, in my opinion. I think Uncharted 4 and Uncharted 2 are probably my 2 favorite ones, but overall, I mean, Uncharted 3 is still a fantastic game. If you haven't played the Uncharted series, you definitely should. It's a little aged in terms of gameplay, but the story and the dialogue and the writing is really, really good in these games. Some of the action set pieces are just amazing. But this, in the same vein, really clean, really solid seals. No holes, no giant scratches, nothing insanely bad. Basically, all I'm gonna do with these games is kind of wipe them down, make sure they don't have any like little gunky spots on the front or back, and just make sure that they look fairly clean before sending them in. Last but not least is my favorite game of all time, at least my top 3. Honestly, I always call it my favorite game of all time because I actually do think it is. I try to think of all the games that I've played. I've played a lot of games at this point. I streamed on Twitch for 5 years playing all sorts of different games, and I still think that this one has left the biggest impact with me, and that is The Last of Us. You can obviously see here there is a bit of a trend going on. Naughty Dog has made most of these games, or these games are very story heavy. Even God of War 3 is very story heavy, even though it's a very action game. But yeah, The Last of Us is definitely up there, if not my favorite game of all time. I got this copy in recently. You know, I paid like 50 or 60 bucks for it, basically what it went for when it first came out. But it's sealed, it's beautiful. The price of the game sealed really shot up during when the TV show came out. I actually think they did the game justice with the TV show. I think it's a great adaptation. They did change some things here and there. There are some episodes that are not as strong as some of the others, but I think overall they did a really good job adapting the story into television format. It was really fun to watch that, or see the story experienced again from people who've never seen it before, who, you know, don't play video games but they watch a lot of television. It was really fun to see that happen. So I hope that this is the first copy. This is the not for resale version. You can let me know in the comments if this is, you know, the original printing, but overall, I mean, just a beautiful game. No real issues. All the seals are very clean. The front and back are very clean. Very excited to send this one in, send all these in to CGC and see what grades they get. Well, guys, if you like video games, make sure to check out this video where I finally got my WATA games back after 9 months of waiting for them, and the grades and everything, and my reaction to the whole mess that was.